It has not been a smooth ride as of late for Steve Geppi and his Diamond Comics Distribution company. Obviously, they had the big pandemic shutdown. DC Comics apparently didn't like the answers they were getting from Diamond, decided to start their own new distribution with UCS and Lunar to compete with Diamond, at least with them. They finally came back online, and I remember Steve Geppi was making the rounds. He was like this big tour telling everybody how financially stable Diamond was, and they had more access to money than they ever had before. Here on the channel, we called shenanigans. We said that doesn't really seem like it feels true to life, that maybe he's just kind of putting out a big front there. We know that they had a pretty decent amount of layoffs, probably affected their ability for their PPP loans to end up becoming basically forgivable, because you had to keep a certain amount of your payroll under employed in order for them to become forgivable. Not sure about the exact numbers, but we do have news today that effective immediately, their new Memphis distribution center is closed. Anyone that was doing business with New Memphis, your new point of contact is the Olive Branch in Mississippi. This is not good news. Certainly not for good news for Diamond Comics Distribution. This is not good news for the retailers. That's for damn sure. And it's not good news for the comic book industry, which I think everyone's been touting has been, is in better shape than ever. I don't think anybody, at least here, I haven't been buying it. I don't think a lot of people have been buying it. Now, there are some things that are doing well. It has a lot to do with speculation. They're doing another thing as far as variant cover speculation. We're going to get to that after we get into details of the actual shutdown. So they're taking some measures for cost cutting. One of them is they're going to close an entire branch, and it's going to have some very bad effects. And they're also they're changing some policies as far as returnability. Now, before I get into the details of all this, I do want to say, if you like comic book news, you like opinions, this is a place for you. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Hit the bell for notifications. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this. Thumbs down if you don't. I definitely want to hear your thoughts about Diamond Comics shutting down their new Memphis distribution center. Now, if you don't know this, Diamond Comics in the U.S. or North America has 3 distribution centers. They've got the Plattsburgh branch up in New York. They had the new Memphis branch, obviously in Tennessee. Then they had the Olive branch in Mississippi. By all accounts, of the 3, the worst managed and worst performing is just as far as retailers go, as far as the amount of damages they get, the late arrivals, not receiving the comics they ordered, period, is the Olive branch in Mississippi. Already severely underperforming just as far as against the peers, from what I've been told directly from retailers that have worked with all 3 branches. Now, all the business that was going to the new Memphis branch in Tennessee is being funneled back to the Olive branch. So I bet it's not a third. I don't imagine the new Memphis branch was handling 33% of all of Diamond Comics orders. I imagine it wasn't quite that much, but still a significant amount of resources for them to distribute comic books are gone as of today, effective immediately. And all the comics that were being distributed, all the products that were being distributed through that branch, because it's not just comic books, it's also collectibles and things like that, are being funneled back to the worst performing branch they have, period, who already overwhelmed with the normal traffic that they had, already sending severely damaged products time and time again, already sending the wrong products time and time again, already sending products that arrived late time and time again, are now they're going to handle all of it. This is very bad news, just as far as your retailers that were dealing with the new Memphis branch probably felt relieved that they didn't have to deal with the Olive branch. Now they have no choice. They have to go deal with the Olive branch. And I imagine their performance will get worse and worse. So just that there is bad news. And the fact that Diamond had to shut down an entire distribution center due to the financial issues definitely contradicts the picture that Steve Geppi and company were painting as far as the financial stability and viability of Diamond Comics Distribution moving forward. I've been shocked that other publishers have not jumped on board with Lunar. Obviously, UCS is out of the game. They decided to take their ball and go home. They did not want to do the DC comic book distribution anymore. They want to go back to their traditional business model. Lunar has stayed in business, but by all accounts, Lunar is like the Cadillac of comic book distribution. It's got all the bells and whistles. You get more than enough bubble wrap. You rarely get anything damaged. If it is damaged, it normally gets replaced within hours. It does not take very long. Rarely do you hear about comic shops bitching or receiving the wrong product. They almost always get exactly what they want. So I'm beyond shocked knowing the performance of Lunar in comparison to Diamond up to this point, that none of the other publishers have gone over there. Now, a lot of them do have exclusive deals, but a lot of them have actually renewed them after Lunar and UCS, now just Lunar, have come on board. They're going to have to start thinking about it. And know what's it's also weird about this, that the article that I read on this, which is in Bleeding Cool, almost puts all the onus on Diamond Comics shutting this particular branch down on DC Comics. DC Comics is not the one that told Diamond, don't get distribution back online as quickly as possible when they had to shut down in the pandemic, and essentially forced DC to go outside of Diamond and look for new distribution and basically end the comic book distribution monopoly. Diamond kind of forced their hand. DC didn't force their hand to do it. Also, when that happened, Diamond was still distributing DC Comics. DC had 3 distributors. They had Lunar, UCS, and they had Diamond. Apparently, when they were negotiating with Diamond afterwards and they were talking about the current situation, all Diamond could talk about, and this is what I've been told, was Lunar and UCS and when are they going to shut down. They didn't want to talk about their performance or anything. They just wanted to know, when's the competition going to go away? Did not sit well with DC Comics, did not feel like they were addressing their needs that they had brought to them and said, hey, these are our concerns with your performance. Didn't want to talk about any of that. They just wanted to talk about the competitors going away. So DC said, screw that. We're taking our ball and going home. And they became exclusive with Lunar and UCS, now just Lunar. Apparently, this is all DC's fault. Steve Geppi and his company's performance, which by many accounts has been substandard, never a contributing factor in any of this. It's complete BS. DC Comics did the right thing. And I think a lot of the other publishers are doing the wrong thing, sticking with Diamond when there's a viable competitor out there. A lot of retailers I talk to would rather just work with Lunar because the performance of Diamond is so bad. Now, if Lunar got a bunch of more customers as far as publishers and were distributing for them too, would their distribution be would their record be as pristine? Would the products be as good and on time and in good as good a condition? I imagine there would be some degradation as far as their performance, but I don't imagine that they would drop to the level that Diamond is performing at. And it's very clear that their finances aren't in good standing. They are having problems. They had to cut out an entire distribution center. They only had 3. Now they have 2. Now, apparently, we know that when the pandemic shutdown happened, a lot of publishers went in to make measures to ensure that retailers, if they were having hard times financially, had the ability to accept risk. And the way you do that oftentimes in comic books publishing is you add returnability or levels of returnability along with the product. In the case of like Image, everything was returnable until just a couple weeks ago. And I believe DC, most of their stuff was returnable for quite some time. I believe everything in Future State is returnable. And a lot of the other publishers did things similar. Marvel, I don't believe, did anything really. But a lot of the smaller publishers, their stuff was returnable and still is to this day. Now, apparently, that has been costing Diamond Comics quite a bit of money because there's a new thing happening, and I'm going to talk about it with Perch on the channel tomorrow, where the publishers are they're trying to meet the needs of the speculators right now, which means a ton more variants, and not just normal variants, your 1 in 10 or 1 in 25s. We're talking 1 in 1,000 variants and all these kind of crazy things that have been flooding the market lately. They're no longer looking to service readers. They're servicing speculators, which is going to cause a whole lot more issues that I wanted to talk about Perch with. But it's costing Diamond a lot of money. They had already enacted some measures to make it more difficult and more expensive for publishers to essentially do returnability. But now you can't do returnability anymore if you're offering more than 2 covers with your comic book. This is what Jeppy Family Entertainment Chief Purchasing Officer Tim Lenigan had to say. We spent a great deal of time over the past several months analyzing the data we've collected on returns. The overwhelming conclusion was that books with more than 2 covers had return percentages 4 to 5 times greater than those with 2 or fewer covers. Return percentages increased even more if incentive variants were introduced into the equation. We recognize the often valued role that both types of incentive programs play in the marketplace, and our goal is to focus these programs in a way that benefits both publishers and retailers. Tracking and submitting returns on books with multiple covers is a time-consuming, cumbersome process for both retailers and Diamond. Additionally, this streamlined approach should assist publishers in determining which programs are most effective in driving their own sales efforts. So let's read between the lines. Here's what happened. A lot of retailers were going out there, and let's say there was a 1 in 100 variant, and they wanted to get that so they could sell it. They'd say, screw it. It's returnable anyway. I'll order the 100 comics. And I'm just using the 100. I'm sure the numbers were higher in many cases. I'll order the 100, and I'll just return the 60 I can't sell. And I'll get the 1 in 100 that was the one that was worth anything to begin with. And they were taking those type of risks where they weren't really potentially in the minds of Diamond, and I completely see what they're going with this, and I kind of agree with them. Those orders weren't made in good faith. They weren't made with the idea that the retailer isn't sure, but believes possibly that they could sell those 100. In their minds, they were ordering them, even though they knew there was no chance they could sell the 100, just so they could get the higher incentive variant cover that was worth more and would be distributed less, like in the market less, so they could sell for more. And then adding returnability and getting return or refunds on all the books they didn't sell. So you cannot do that anymore with Diamond. If you want returnability on your comic book, and Image has a program, it's a limited program, but on certain debut comics for the first 4 issues, the comics are returnable. Now, if they want to run that program, they cannot offer more than 2 covers for those comic books. If they cannot do likely, any really invariant incentive covers, like your 1 in 10, 1 in 25, you're going to have an A cover and a B cover. That's it. Otherwise, you cannot offer returnability through Diamond Comics. It should be interesting to see how the retailers react to this. Obviously, we just had the sales numbers for Berserker #1 through Boom Studios. 615,000 comics ordered by comic shops. Tons of incentive variant covers with that comic book, including some 1 in 1,000 exclusive signed covers by Keanu Reeves that a lot of people were ordering heavy for. Now, I wonder if they're going to be able to get returnability. I'm not really sure if Boom was actually offering returnability at the time. I'm assuming that they were, but they might not have been. But in that case, I wonder if you ordered that many comics to get the 1 in 1,000 because you thought you would get returnability, can you get it now? Like, is it retroactive or something like that? That could really screw a lot of retailers over. But that is no longer a thing that you can do through Diamond Comics. Probably smart on their part. Obviously, they are trying to cut costs. They just shut down an entire branch, and they're going to shut down that avenue for retailers to maybe game the system a little bit. And I imagine they were, because there's a lot of stuff going on with the speculator market right now. And I don't even want to start because I'm pretty frustrated with it, and I'll go on another tangent. But that video will be up tomorrow. But that is the latest and greatest as far as Diamond Comics. If you saw all the interviews with Steve Jeppy, things have never been better. We're doing great. You know, we're in great shape. Not so fast. We've said it all along. This does not look good. Once the PPP loan comes up, we knew that they had actually laid off a lot of people, which was probably going to make those loans not forgivable. They're going to have to pay them back. Obviously, they did lose DC Comics. Some people are blaming all of this on DC Comics. I say that's balderdash. I blame it on Diamond Comics and their performance. As far as I'm concerned, they drove DC Comics away. I'm shocked that they haven't driven more publishers away just by talking to retailers and the performance of Diamond Comics. But in their minds, it's all DC Comics' fault. That it's DC's fault that they're shut down. But, you know, whoever side that you're on, things do not look good for Diamond Comics. I hope they survive. I hope this restructure that they're going through, this consolidation, works out. I have zero faith that the Olive Branch will perform admirably under these trying circumstances. I think it will get worse. We're probably going to see even more damaged product, even more product not arriving late, the wrong things arriving, going to the wrong stores, which has plagued the Olive Branch for a very long time, and just Diamond Comics in general. But the Olive Branch was notorious as being the very worst one. Well, that is going to be their biggest distribution center now, and that is very bad news for retailers in North America. I feel for them. I hope it works out. We will see if Steve Jeppy and company can make it work. But things do not look good for Diamond Comics. And that is the news for today. And I will see you later. I'm going to have a review of TMNT, The Last Ronin #2, up here tonight. And we will have that conversation about speculators in the market, kind of changing the marketplace as we speak with Purge tomorrow. And obviously, we'll have some other stuff to talk about. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. I would appreciate it very much. It helps us attract more views for the channel. Subscribe for future commentary, comic book news, and reviews. And don't forget to ring the bell for notifications. If you want to talk comics, movies, and much, much more, you can follow me on Twitter at Wes_from_TC. With that, Salamat Po, and I'm out.